short period. This has severely tested the city's stormwater system, so the cold and wet weather has caused widespread damage. But authorities say no life-threatening situations have been reported at this stage.
For residents of informal settlements across the city, the incessant rainfall has brought nothing but misery. Here in the COVID-19 informal settlement, homes and cars are submerged and residents are literally waist-high in water.
Around past 2, the water was kind of like already flooded on the other areas, also inside the houses. We were noted by 6 o'clock on our side here, it was already like flooding like this, as you see here. So the situation is really, really bad on our side because all the water is inside, our clothes are wet, the couches and stuff and furniture, everything is not okay, it's in a mess.
Community leaders have appealed to churches, NGOs and the authorities to assist affected families.
People need a place to stay now. We have tried to speak with the pastors. We are going to use the churches, but some people they don't want to be far away from their houses now because almost people can take their things inside. So yeah, we are trying to get even a tent or something can help them. Yeah, it's soon, just urgently.
The city says informal settlements in Delft, Khayelitsha, Crossroads and Gugulethu are among those affected. Road infrastructure teams have been deployed to provide assistance, weather-related power outages have been reported across the city. In Ravensmead, formal and informal dwellings have been affected, with some residents left without power since the early hours of this morning.
I was on my way now to the rent office just to go make a phone call because there you can phone for free. And I mean to be out of electricity and it's cold, your home is wet, there's a lot of water in your home and it's making you sad. You start getting fed up.
A number of schools in areas including Philippi, Makassar and Khayelitsha were either unable to open or requested early closure. Traffic authorities say a number of minor crashes have been reported with no fatalities at this stage. The South African Weather Service says the inclement weather is set to continue until Wednesday. Vanessa Puna, SABC News, Cape Town.
According to a representative from the Southern African Faith Communities Environment Institute, Gabriel Manyangadze, he was one of the panelists at a webinar hosted by the University of KwaZulu-Natal, looking at the role civil society plays in humanitarian relief efforts. Manyangadze says research shows that Southern Africa is already experiencing more tropical cyclones.
They are taking good care of us at this hall, but we have no water and electricity. We sleep in the dark, and there are people who have several children.
Laguna Mkhize was one of the hundreds of flood victims to seek refuge at a local community hall in flood-stricken Marion Hill. Mkhize, like thousands of residents, lost her home and all her possessions. She's also suffered the trauma of losing 4 of her grandchildren. The Faith and Hope community organisation helped her and others with food, water, blankets and shelter. The organisation is still providing for 10 families at the hall.
So we've been fundraising and looking and asking from good humanitarians and Samaritans in our area and also, everywhere. So they've been able to assist us in terms of supporting us with food, blankets, mattresses, etc. So we have been able to make sure that the people who lost their loved ones are able to bury their loved ones.
Faith-based organisations also stepped in to relieve the suffering of victims. Churches opened their premises as temporary shelters, and often organisations picked up the slack where government lacked capacity. The Gift of the Givers is a key player in helping to facilitate repairs to damaged infrastructure.
100 schools have been damaged. The first few schools have been massive damage. We've given contracts of 15 million rand for the first few schools to be repaired. We're doing what is called jetting, cleaning out all the stormwater drains in the schools, which are filled with sand and silt, which means later on if there's another flood, if the drains will get flooded again and the schools will get damaged again. So we're cleaning that out. The health department has asked us to assist us. We're going to look at that. 180 million rand worth of damage to health facilities.
Faith-based organisations say because they are closer to communities, they can respond quicker than government when disasters strike.
We need to take heed of what science has already given to us. And as people of faith, we are calling everybody that morally we have something that we have to do as far as assisting people before disaster strike. It is important for us to share with people of faith that there are areas that are most vulnerable to the disasters and to let them know that they need to move, as was already mentioned earlier on, to safer places. And we are calling on the authorities to start implementing that, because this is something that we are going to be living with over the next years, and therefore we need to be prepared.
Experts on the panel said the role of civil society should not be underestimated, and they often play a role where governments fail. A Durban relief organisation for refugees said migrants and refugees were also severely impacted by the floods, but because of the anti-migrant sentiment, many chose not to seek shelter in community halls. A social worker on the panel called for the youth to actively lead in dialogue and plans to tackle climate change, as theirs is the generation which will be most affected. Renee Heine, SABC News, Durban.
And reports about the illegal sale of the homes.
An unsuspecting family of 10 say they were elated at the thought of owning a home after they purchased one of the BNG's homes in the area about a year ago. But their happiness was short-lived after they were told the transaction is illegal. The family, who asked to remain anonymous for fear of victimization, say they don't know where to go after they were told that the original beneficiaries have been served with an eviction order.
We were crooked, because clearly the person that has sold the property know more than what I did. You know, if it was the case, then I wouldn't never ever end up here.
So we hope that the minister will consider us with whatever action there needs to be taken, or whatever action he's going to take, that they should consider this family.
The Haideri housing project in Kales River consists of housing for military veterans and social housing. Authorities say they were alerted about the rampant sale of the fully subsidized houses.
On the 25th of May, the specific beneficiary was informed that she and her spouse acted against the contract. We will now be invoking clause 12 of that contract. An eviction notice will be sent to that individual should they not opt to vacate that building within 30 days. Obviously, they do not live in that house. They have received a formal electronic copy of that letter, and today we are here to formally execute that notice, which means they have 30 days to vacate that house because they illegally sold that house and they have actually defrauded the state.
Local leaders say there's a syndicate preying on vulnerable people and those who are desperate to own houses.
Fortunately, we had the phenomenon since then up till now that people are getting into a house, they've been coerced sometimes to sell their houses. Some people are in dire need of money, they don't have income, and then they sell their houses, and they are encouraged by unscrupulous agents, sometimes community leaders, and we have opted to stop this.
The occupants of the home have 14 days to vacate the premises. There are currently 568,000 people registered on the Western Cape Housing Demand Database. Thule Joga, SABC News, Kales River.